Have you ever felt like you're doing everything right, yet somehow you're still falling behind? You wake up early, work hard, sacrifice your time and energy, and keep telling yourself that eventually things will get easier. You've followed the advice you've heard your entire life. Study hard, get a stable job, save what you can, and be responsible with your money. Yet despite all of your effort, the bills keep coming. The cost of groceries keeps rising. Rent and mortgage payments take a larger share of your paycheck. Credit card balances seem harder to eliminate, and retirement feels farther away than it should. Deep down, millions of hardworking Americans quietly ask themselves the same question. Why does it feel like everyone else is getting ahead, while I'm stuck in the same place? The uncomfortable truth is that staying broke isn't always about laziness, bad luck, or a lack of intelligence. In fact, there are people earning six-figure salaries who still live paycheck to paycheck, while others earning far less manage to build financial stability over time. The difference often comes down to habits. Small decisions repeated consistently over months and years eventually shape the direction of our financial lives. The encouraging news is that habits can be changed, and today we're going to explore 7 costly money habits that quietly keep millions of Americans from building wealth. More importantly, we'll discuss how changing those habits can help you create a stronger future for yourself and the people you care about. Because 5 years from now, you'll either wish you had started today, or you'll be grateful that you did. The first habit is lifestyle inflation, and it's one of the most common financial traps in modern society. Imagine receiving a raise at work. You've worked hard for it, you've earned it, and you're excited because you believe this extra income is finally going to help you get ahead. You tell yourself that you'll save more money, pay down debt, or begin investing for the future. But then something changes. The car you've been driving suddenly doesn't seem good enough anymore. Your apartment begins to feel too small. You start dining out more often, upgrading your wardrobe, and purchasing things that previously seemed unnecessary. Before long, the extra income disappears, not because of emergencies or unexpected setbacks, but because your lifestyle expanded to match your paycheck. This phenomenon is called lifestyle inflation, and it's one of the primary reasons why earning more money doesn't automatically lead to financial freedom. Society constantly encourages us to upgrade. Upgrade your phone, upgrade your home, upgrade your car. Social media intensifies this pressure by exposing us to carefully curated versions of other people's lives, making us believe that success should look expensive. But many truly wealthy individuals understand something different. True wealth isn't about appearances, it's about freedom. It's the freedom to spend time with family, the freedom to pursue meaningful work, the freedom to retire on your own terms, and the freedom to navigate unexpected challenges without financial devastation. Every dollar spent trying to impress people who aren't contributing to your future is a dollar that cannot be invested in your future. This doesn't mean you should never enjoy your money. Financial responsibility isn't about deprivation or denying yourself happiness. It's about intentionality. It's about understanding the difference between spending that genuinely improves your quality of life and spending driven by comparison or social pressure. Wealth isn't built solely by increasing your income. It's built by creating a gap between what you earn and what you spend, then using that gap to build assets that support your future goals. Many people spend years trying to look wealthy while neglecting the habits that actually create wealth. They upgrade their expenses every time their income increases, leaving themselves trapped in a cycle where earning more never translates into greater financial security. And before they know it, decades have passed. They're still stressed about money, still dependent on the next paycheck, still wondering why their hard work hasn't produced the life they envisioned. The goal isn't perfection. The goal is awareness. Because once you recognize the patterns shaping your financial life, you gain the power to change them. The second habit that keeps many Americans financially vulnerable is relying entirely on one source of income. For generations, people were taught a simple formula: go to school, get a good job, work hard, remain loyal to your employer, and eventually retire. And for many individuals, that approach worked reasonably well. But the world has changed. Industries evolve rapidly, technology transforms entire professions, companies downsize, economic uncertainty has become part of everyday life. While there is absolutely nothing wrong with having a job, depending entirely on a single paycheck can create significant risk. Take a moment to consider this question honestly. If your primary source of income disappeared tomorrow, how long could you maintain your current lifestyle? Would you have enough savings to cover essential expenses? Would you have another skill capable of generating income? Would you have investments providing additional support? For many Americans, the answer is no. And that isn't necessarily because they're irresponsible. Often it's because they've never been encouraged to think beyond their monthly paycheck. Financial security isn't about fear, it's about preparation. It means recognizing that diversification isn't only important in investing, it's important in life. Additional income streams don't need to appear overnight, nor do they require you to quit your job and launch a business immediately. They might involve developing new skills, creating a side project, investing consistently over time, or identifying opportunities that reduce dependence on a single employer. The objective isn't to work endlessly. The objective is resilience. Life is unpredictable. Medical emergencies happen. Layoffs happen. Economic downturns happen. We cannot control every circumstance that affects our lives, but we can improve our ability to respond to those circumstances. The question isn't whether challenges will appear. The question is whether you'll be prepared when they do. Financial resilience isn't built during moments of crisis. It's built during the ordinary moments when you choose to prepare for the future, instead of assuming everything will always remain the same. And that preparation often begins with changing the way we think about money itself. Because the next habit affecting millions of Americans isn't about how much they earn, it's about what they choose not to learn. The third habit that quietly prevents many people from building wealth is avoiding financial education. Most Americans spend years in school learning mathematics, science, literature, and history. Yet many graduate without understanding how credit scores work, how compound interest can either help or hurt them, how retirement accounts function, or how to build a long-term investment strategy. As a result, millions of adults are forced to make some of the most important financial decisions of their lives without ever being taught the fundamentals of money management. One of the biggest misconceptions about education is believing that learning ends after graduation. In reality, some of the most valuable lessons you'll ever learn happen outside a classroom. Financial education isn't reserved for economists, accountants, or people working on Wall Street. It's for parents trying to provide a better future for their children. It's for young adults starting their careers. It's for anyone who wants to reduce financial stress and gain greater control over their future. The good news is that you don't need to become a financial expert overnight. You don't need to memorize complicated formulas or understand every detail of the stock market. You simply need curiosity and a willingness to learn. Read books, listen to educational podcasts, watch credible financial content, ask questions, seek knowledge from trusted sources. Every hour you spend improving your understanding of money has the potential to benefit you for decades. Think about it this way. Most people willingly invest time learning how to perform better at their jobs because they know those skills can increase their income. Yet, many never dedicate time to learning how to manage the income they already earn. Financial education doesn't guarantee wealth, but a lack of financial education can make building wealth significantly more difficult. Knowledge creates confidence. When you understand how money works, fear begins to lose its power. You stop making decisions based purely on emotion and start making decisions based on understanding. The fourth habit is waiting for the perfect time. How many dreams have been delayed because someone believed they weren't ready? People wait until they earn more money before they start saving. They wait until they know everything before they begin investing. They postpone starting a business because conditions don't feel ideal. They delay important financial decisions because they're afraid of making mistakes. The problem is that perfect conditions rarely exist. There will always be uncertainty. There will always be reasons to hesitate. There will always be risks to consider. If you wait until every fear disappears and every question has been answered, you may find yourself waiting forever. Many successful people weren't completely confident when they started. They didn't possess all the answers. They didn't have flawless plans. What separated them from others was their willingness to begin despite uncertainty. They took the first step. They learned as they went. They adjusted when necessary. Progress rarely comes from dramatic moments of inspiration. More often, it emerges through small actions repeated consistently over long periods of time. Saving a little each month may not seem impressive. Learning one new financial concept each week may not feel life-changing. Investing consistently over many years may appear insignificant in the beginning, but these seemingly small actions compound. They build momentum. They create opportunities that didn't previously exist. The greatest barrier isn't always a lack of resources. Sometimes, it comes from the decision to postpone action indefinitely. 5 years from now, you'll either wish you had started today, or you'll be grateful that you did. The choice belongs to you. You don't have to move quickly, and you certainly don't have to move perfectly, but you do have to move. Because financial improvement doesn't require perfection, it requires progress. The fifth habit that keeps people trapped financially is not knowing where their money goes. Have you ever looked at your bank account near the end of the month and wondered how your paycheck disappeared so quickly? You intended to save more. You promised yourself this month would be different. Yet somehow, the results remain the same. The reality is that financial stress is rarely caused by a single major purchase. More often, it's the accumulation of countless small decisions made without much thought. Another subscription service, another impulse purchase during an online sale, another food delivery order because cooking feels inconvenient after a long day. Individually, these expenses may seem harmless, but collectively, they can quietly undermine your financial goals. This is why budgeting is so important. Unfortunately, budgeting often has a negative reputation. People associate it with restriction and sacrifice. But budgeting isn't about punishment. It's about awareness. It's about ensuring that your money reflects your priorities instead of your impulses. A budget gives every dollar a purpose before someone else decides that purpose for you. The goal isn't to eliminate enjoyment from your life. It's to spend intentionally. It's recognizing that every dollar represents your time, effort, and energy. Once you begin viewing money through that lens, your financial decisions naturally become more thoughtful. Because if you don't take control of your money, there are countless businesses eager to spend it on your behalf. Building wealth isn't about never spending money. It's about aligning your spending with the life you truly want to create. It's about making sure your future goals receive the same level of attention as your present desires. Financial awareness doesn't limit freedom. In many cases, it creates it. The sixth habit that quietly keeps many people from reaching their financial potential is choosing comfort over growth. Growth is uncomfortable by nature. Learning new skills is uncomfortable. Having honest conversations about money is uncomfortable. Admitting financial mistakes is uncomfortable. Stepping outside of familiar routines and embracing change is uncomfortable. Because discomfort feels unpleasant, many people spend their entire lives avoiding it. They remain in situations they dislike because those situations feel familiar. They postpone learning about investing because they're afraid of making mistakes. They avoid taking on new challenges because failure seems embarrassing. They continue habits that no longer serve them because changing those habits requires effort and discipline. Over time, comfort begins to feel safe. But sometimes, comfort becomes the very thing that prevents us from growing. The reality is that comfort zones often become invisible prisons. While comfort may protect us from short-term discomfort, it can also prevent us from experiencing long-term progress. The people who build extraordinary lives aren't necessarily the most talented or naturally gifted. Often, they're simply the individuals who became willing to tolerate temporary discomfort in exchange for future rewards. They invest in themselves. They continue learning long after formal education has ended. They seek opportunities that challenge them. They adapt when circumstances change. They understand that growth requires effort and that improvement rarely happens without discomfort. The fear of change is natural, but the cost of remaining exactly where you are can sometimes be far greater than the discomfort required to move forward. Think about where you want to be 5 years from now. Do you want to continue repeating the same financial patterns and experiencing the same frustrations? Or do you want to become the type of person who actively builds a better future? The decisions you make today will shape the answers to those questions. The discomfort of discipline may feel difficult in the present, but the pain of regret can last a lifetime. And that brings us to the seventh and perhaps most heartbreaking habit of all, giving up too soon. Many people begin their financial journey with enthusiasm. They decide to save money. They commit to paying off debt. They start learning about investing. They pursue additional opportunities to improve their financial situation. But after a few months, something happens. Progress feels slow. Results seem invisible. Unexpected challenges arise. Motivation fades. Eventually, they convince themselves that their efforts aren't making a difference. We live in a world obsessed with instant gratification. Social media highlights overnight success stories while ignoring the years of persistence that often came before them. We celebrate dramatic transformations without acknowledging the countless ordinary days of consistency that made those transformations possible. As a result, many people develop unrealistic expectations about what financial progress should look like. But building wealth isn't an overnight process. It requires patience. It requires discipline. It requires consistency. The early stages of progress are often the hardest because the results aren't immediately visible. Saving your first $1,000 can feel impossible. Paying down debt may seem like an endless battle. Learning new financial concepts can be overwhelming. Yet these small victories matter more than most people realize. Imagine planting a tree. For a long time, it may appear as though nothing is happening, yet beneath the surface, roots are growing stronger. Foundations are being established. Progress is taking place in ways that cannot immediately be seen. Financial growth works in much the same way. Every dollar saved matters. Every wise decision matters. Every lesson learned matters. Even when the results aren't obvious, Your efforts are building momentum. The people who ultimately achieve financial success aren't always the smartest individuals in the room. They aren't always the most talented. Often, they're simply the people who refuse to quit. They remained committed long enough for their efforts to compound. They understood that consistency is more powerful than intensity, and that persistence, combined with patience, can transform lives. Before we finish this video, I want to speak directly to you. Because maybe you've recognized yourself in some of these habits. Maybe you've accumulated debt. Maybe you've made financial decisions you regret. Maybe you've spent years living paycheck to paycheck. Perhaps you felt embarrassed, discouraged, or overwhelmed by your current situation. And maybe you've even wondered whether it's simply too late to change. If that's how you feel, I want you to remember something important. Your past financial decisions do not determine your future. Your mistakes do not define your worth. Every financially successful person has experienced setbacks. Every financially successful person has made poor decisions at some point in their journey. The difference is that they chose to learn from those experiences instead of allowing those experiences to dictate the rest of their lives. The moment you decide to take responsibility for your future is the moment you begin reclaiming control over it. You don't need to transform your entire life overnight. You don't need to have every answer by tomorrow morning. You simply need to take the next step. One better decision, one healthier habit, one intentional action repeated consistently over time. Let's quickly revisit the 7 habits we've discussed today. Lifestyle inflation, relying entirely on one source of income, avoiding financial education, waiting for the perfect time, not knowing where your money goes, choosing comfort over growth, and giving up too soon. These habits may be common, but they are not permanent. Habits can change, mindsets can evolve, financial futures can improve. Wealth isn't reserved for a select group of people. It isn't determined solely by luck or circumstance. More often than not, wealth reflects the choices people make consistently over long periods of time. And perhaps the most empowering truth of all is this. No matter where you find yourself financially today, you have the ability to make different choices tomorrow. 5 years from now, you'll either wish you had started today, or you'll be grateful that you did. The decision belongs to you. If you found value in this video, consider subscribing to Wealth Blueprint, because financial freedom doesn't happen by accident. It happens by design. Thank you for spending your time here today. Keep learning, keep growing, and keep building your blueprint for wealth. I'll see you in the next video.